Hi, neighbors. Sorry, I just unplugged my light right as I went live. I hope I have enough of a signal here at this hotel to manage to get this video out to you guys because I know I'm late. I was going to try to go live on Tuesday night, but I ended up on 3 planes instead of 2 and didn't get to the East Coast until almost midnight. So, okay, maybe that's better. I hope so. So sorry about the delay, everybody, and sorry about not having my usual setup here. I'm in a hotel room and I'm just trying to do the best I can. So my table's a little lower. You're getting a little bit of a different view. But I wanted to talk about the answers to the questions that I sent Joe Bippis. I sent 4 pages, which it really isn't that much. It was just an outline form so I could get very specific answers and not just have very general questions. The reason I did that is because I wanted to be very, very, very clear about what I wanted to know. It didn't seem to help. I'm not going to go into everything tonight. I don't have time. It's too much for one video. But I'm going to get you some highlights here. And I just wanted to say that I'm out on the East Coast, as I said, for work. So please forgive me for not having answered my emails very quickly. Sorry. And for the shakiness of my video. But I'm going to get right to it. So let's see. We're going to start with the water. Biggest issue in our town. Everybody knows we have water issues. Lots of people can't drink their water at all. Everybody's got, a ton of chlorine. I'm a bath person and I love to go start my bath and then shut the bathroom door and kick the heat up so it warms up the bathroom, really nice for my bath. And so often when I walk back in there after I've run my bath, it smells like a public pool. I am instantly reminded of Finneran Park in Cal City, Illinois, where I grew up, and the crazy level of chlorine that was there. In fact, when I was a kid, my mom wasn't thrilled with me going to public pools to begin with. That was just not her thing. But when my hair and every other blonde girl's hair in the neighborhood turned green one summer from all the chlorine and stuff that they had in the water, she stopped letting me go. And I am reminded of Finneran Park almost every time I take a bath, which is like every night. So I'm not thrilled about that. There are some answers about the additional chlorine in here, but I'm not even sure I'm going to get all into that. So let's go to my question here. I said, this is number 3 of the water questions. I said, what other grants and or state or federal funding are we pursuing for our water issues? The answer, which I think came from Amy Roth because she is the director of public works. But again, this all came through Joe Bippis. So ultimately it's his responsibility for what got sent to me. Okay. Again, question, what other grants and or state or federal funding are we pursuing for our water issues? Answer, we don't have water issues. We have a need to replace lead service lines in our community, which is a common need across the nation. The city has been installing copper service lines and replacing lead lines since the early 70s. Some research shows possibly the late 60s. As an initial and immediate solution, in close coordination with Eagle, we have increased the amount of chlorine and have switched to a different orthopolyphosphate blend. I guess I am getting into the chlorine. Studies show this will help reduce the amount of lead that can be released from the lead service lines in in-home plumbing. We test at least 40 locations every 6 months to monitor the progress of this change, which we initiated in January 25. Again, the question was, what other grants and or state or federal funding are we pursuing for our water issues? Again, this reply starts with, we don't have water issues. Now, I think pretty much everybody in town knows that the root of the problem is our water lines. But where does that problem manifest? In our water. It's a very dismissive answer. It's unclear. It does not answer my question because I asked about what grants are we pursuing, and I read you the whole answer. That's it. I will happily post this, so you guys can see for yourself. The next question here, do we meet the qualifications well enough? Again, this is for the grant they didn't tell me about. Do we meet the qualifications well enough to ensure that we have a solid chance of being selected for each funding opportunity? The reply, each funding opportunity that is offered is scored on a different basis, so we can never guarantee that we meet the qualifications well enough to receive funding. I call that a non-answer. Because of course there's different scoring, and of course other communities have needs, and we never can be certain that we're going to get a grant. But they give you a rubric in the grant applications. Like, you know exactly what you need to hit. Whether or not we get the grant is up to them. But do we have everything we need to qualify? It's like, did you do the whole assignment is essentially what I asked. Didn't get an answer. I guess this too. Who is in charge of determining which funding sources we pursue? Funding opportunities are sought and reviewed by multiple city employees and are brought to our attention by regulatory agencies. We as a team then decide which ones are best to use our resources on to prepare an application. At least I got an answer there, sort of. Now this one kind of upsets me too, because this is another non-answer. Who is held responsible if our applications are not selected due to requirements not being fully met? Answer. Although requirements can be fully met on a grant application, if the scoring matrix is not favorable to our needed project, it may not be selected. Other communities can have a greater need than us and score higher. That isn't what I asked. I asked who is held responsible if our applications are not selected due to requirements not being fully met. Like, if somebody doesn't get their homework done, are they held accountable? And if so, who? Wasn't answered. So again, and I quote, we don't have water problems. I'm thinking of, I won't say her name because she has a somewhat unusual name. It's just not super common. But if you regularly see me in your store and I live down the street, Mama, I am thinking of you. There's a mom that I know who spends $50 every 3 days to keep her family in water. She has 5 kids and they have to cook with it, brush their teeth, all their drinking. You know, if she makes some Kool-Aid, it's got to be bottled. And that's just a lot of money for a family to spend and then have their new mayor be told we don't have water issues. It's a lot of money. And then to ask about grants and essentially get just non-answers. I do have a whole section on grants, but that's a different story. That's for a different video. So next up, I want to go to some of the questions I asked about our budget. Okay, here's the question I asked. Is there anything, all right, well, hold on, I'll back up just a little bit. I said, number 3, who decided that our cannabis revenue would be added to the general fund? And the answer was state law. Okay, I didn't know that. I learned something there. That was the whole point of these questions, is for me to learn something. The next question I followed up with was, is there anything stopping us from keeping our cannabis money separate so we can show the public how we're using it? It says, we present it at budget meeting. We use a portion of it to fund the deputy chief position as an annual expense. The remainder are usually allocated for capital projects or sending new police officers to the academy. It will be shown in a PowerPoint presentation. So again, the question is there anything stopping us from keeping our cannabis money separate so we can show the public how we're using it? But at least we did find out a couple of the things we're using it for, which is basically more policing and capital projects. But that's any capital project. I think that we need citizen input. And that's the whole reason I ran for mayor, is because I need you guys, all the people watching, all the people in our town, to be the people who make the decision. That's how representative government is supposed to work. You guys are supposed to decide what you want and then tell us, the elected officials, and then we are supposed to represent you. So I understand that a lot of these questions haven't been asked in God knows how long, and that so many folks, me included, feel as though City Hall doesn't listen. And that's, another big portion of my list of reasons for why I ran, because I'm bold. And I don't mind speaking publicly, and I'll do things like YouTube videos, and I will knock on people's doors, and I will gather a consensus, and I will be at least representing you guys at City Hall. Again, I'm only one vote. I can't do anything on my own. I need you all to show up at City Hall. That's key. I can't change our town by myself, but I can rally the troops, and that's exactly what I'm doing tonight, and that's exactly what I've been doing since the day I started campaigning. I need you guys. First and third Tuesdays at 6:00 are our meetings. One of the very first things, we say a prayer, we say the pledge, approve the agenda, I think first, and poof, public comment. You don't even have to stay till the end. I encourage you to, but you don't have to. At the very end are commissioners' comments, and then the city manager and city attorney get to make their comments too. So it's worth it to stay till the end, but I understand everybody's busy. and it's dinner time, but please show up, at least make your comments. Tell us how you think we're doing, good, bad, in between. Tell us what you want done. And then if you have to go. I'll follow up with you. I have followed up with everybody who has spoken. I have literally gone and knocked on people's doors and said, hey, thank you for coming to that meeting. Can you tell me a little more about what's going on? So expect to be followed up with. If you want to come in prepared for me to follow up with you, we ask for your address, but we don't actually ask for any other contact info. Please write it down. I think I'm going to start keeping index cards ready for you guys. And I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. There's a little surprise coming for those of you who come to speak, so that you will at least have somewhat equal grounds to stand on, seeing as we all have a dais up there, and then you're going to have something too. It's a gift from a wonderful citizen who I absolutely adore. So please consider coming. And remember that the city replied to, my question here saying, we don't have water issues. It's just the pipes. Very facetious answer. And I'll tell you, I don't drink our water. So, and I know most of you guys don't, and you shouldn't, even if you don't have well or lead lines. So thank you for joining me tonight. Again, I'm sorry it's late, but I am going to resubmit a lot of these questions and ask for clarity, because these are non-answers. And in the coming weeks, I will go ahead and make sure to do videos, social media posts. Of course, you can find me on Facebook, Mayor Angel Johnston. But thank you. Again, thank you for coming out to vote, those of you who did. And please come to City Hall, first and third Tuesdays, 6 o'clock. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great night. Try to stay warm in Michigan, okay? Take care. Bye.